Our sixth meditation is the death of Jesus. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now a vessel full of sour wine was sitting there, and they filled a sponge with the sour wine and put it on a hyssop and put it to his mouth. So when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, It is finished. And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit. Therefore, because it was the preparation day that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for the Sabbath was a high day, the Jews asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. Then the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water came out. And he who has seen and has testified, and his testimony is true. And he knows that he is telling the truth so that you may believe. For these things were done that the scripture should be fulfilled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again, another scripture says, They shall look on him who they pierced. Well, as always, this service has not let me down one bit. Again, just one of the most powerful services that we get to enjoy in the life of our church. I'm honored to stand with these brothers in the Lord and share with you and hear what God is saying to us through each one, and the profound insights and the pearls, nuggets that we get to take away. But Alan, I'll just correct you on one thing. It's a sniglet is what I like to use. These are little sniglets. They're just little, you go out to the grill and somebody's grilling a steak or a piece of chicken, and there's just a nice little piece of crispy fat right there. No one else is going to eat it. It's a sniglet. I want it right now. I'm the only guy that you'll know to go to a Japanese steakhouse and make sure that the chef knows that I want all the fat trimmed off of everybody's steak and seasoned up and cooked and put on my plate, because that's the good part. Anyway, surely I digress, but we were getting real serious. We were getting real serious there, because we're really getting down to the heart of the matter today. The cross. You know, in my years of walking with the Lord has not always been in a sacramental liturgical style. Most of you that have heard my testimony, you know I was brought up in my faith in a Pentecostal church. And through that, I learned the power of the Spirit. But in my own personal walk, I separated myself from the cross because I wanted the glory of the day of Pentecost without being reminded the cost of the cross. As we look at this reading, we see the picture that had been portrayed by each one so clearly of what was happening there. And Casey just mentioned the duality of Christ on the cross, and that's what jumped out to me this time. Look, I've been doing these enough. I thirst 4 times. And And though that, when we do the words of the last sayings of Christ, one of them is "I thirst." It happens to be the shortest one of the words of Christ from the cross. I'm going to refresh your memory what he said from the cross. And each one we're going to look at the duality of Christ. Fully man and fully God. The first thing he says as he's being nailed to the cross is, "Father, forgive them." Whew, I just got goosebumps. Father, forgive them. Those words were not just for the men who were nailing the spikes. Those words were not just meant for all the witnesses that were standing around letting it happen. Those words were not just for the crowd that yelled, "Crucify him." But they were for them. But they weren't just for them. Those words were meant to resound throughout history that we can be here today. Those words were meant for you and me. Father, forgive them. Woman, behold thy son. What a beautiful picture of adoption. I've seen this, I've read this, I've been around. I've never heard that analogy before. And man, I'm going to chew on that one for 3 or 4 months now. That was good. Woman, behold thy son. That was Jesus the man having compassion on his mother. Jesus the friend having compassion on John, his brother. And that was Jesus as God taking care of his own. To the thief on the cross, this day, today, you will be with me in paradise. Jesus the man looking at the guy who, even dying with him, was asking him to remember him. And Jesus, God, giving him the promise, today you will be with me in paradise. Now here comes the rough part. As Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? The full weight of sin hanging on him as he was paying the price. And he felt the full separation from God, his Father. I thirst. In the Old Testament, we read, and we even heard it today in the readings, that my tongue is stuck to the roof of my mouth because it's so swollen and I'm so thirsty. Jesus was tasting that death. He was thirsting. But I got a question here. Jesus said, I am the living water. How is the living water thirsting? He's thirsting for you and me to join him. He's thirsting for us. He's thirsting for our souls. He's thirsting for our salvation, the ultimate price that he's paying on that cross. And then the words, it is finished. Sure, the crucifixion was finished. Death was imminent. He could tell. It is finished. Oh, but it wasn't. It wasn't just that moment. It is finished for all of mankind. It is finished, that there now is no reason for separation between God and man. The relationship that was once in the garden is now reestablished in the here and now. And then into your hands I commit my spirit. The full death of the man being committed into the full life of his loving Father. These sayings from the cross are not just at that moment. It's for all eternity. The forgiveness, the reconciliation was for that moment and for now, and for until Jesus returns and claims that which is his own. It is finished. It is not a cry of defeat. It is a shout of victory. It is over. Man no longer has to be separated from his Creator. We can walk in the love that we've heard about today. We can be Jesus to the lost and dying world today. We can be Jesus to the fatherless, to the homeless, to those who are naked and needed to be clothed. Because it is finished. The work is done. We no longer, as one of my brothers said earlier, we no longer have to look and feel shame or grief or hurt or not worthy. It is finished. That part of our life is over. And it can be over if we embrace the cross and what has transpired there. I've said this many times, and I'm going to continue to say it. The closer I get to God, the farther from Him I realize I am. The closer I get, the more I need. The more I need, the more He gives. I so love our calendar here in the liturgical year. Because no matter what the year holds, no matter what my life has held, the liturgical calendar always brings me back to the foot of the cross. It always focuses, it recenters my life. Is it not about me? It's all about Him. My question for you today is real simple. And I have a challenge. My challenge is grab hold to the foot of that cross. Embrace it. No matter how painful you think it may be, there is freedom there. There's victory there. There is salvation there. There's hope there. This day, today, this moment, in this service, what do you need to lay at the foot of that cross?